Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Brandon. You're back on the Engine 25 YouTube channel. I'm here with some old gamer buddies. Used to play some tabletop games with my buddy Carlos, out here in the top left, and Will down there in the bottom. He used to work at the game shop, and he plays super nerdy games like Magic the Gathering, and we just play Star Wars games. So there you're in good company if you like
My cheers.
It's all
that kind of
relative.
nerdy shit. Yeah, absolutely. How you doing today, Carlos?
Hey, doing well. Thank you, Brandon.
Cool. What about you, Will? What's going on?
It's been a good day so far. Thanks for asking.
Cool. So yeah, we all just watched the new Mortal Kombat movie, and we have some thoughts. First of all,
It is.
what is everyone's? Start with you, Carlos. What is your experience with the Mortal Kombat games?
Yeah. So I growing up, as usual, when I was a kid, we still had arcades and timeouts, and going down to the arcade. So we, definitely with the actual cabinet experience, Mortal Kombat 1, Mortal Kombat 2. I think by the time that 3, probably in the SNES, right? It started coming out. I have the usual story of
UMK3 was probably 95-ish.
Yeah, I would
got
say
the wiki
maybe
pulled
before,
up.
probably Mortal Kombat 2. I definitely have the old story of going down to Blockbuster, renting it without my parents knowing, and then getting in trouble because they figured out I didn't ask for permission, so that did not end well for me. But yeah, still fun. So typically, I would say after Ultimate 3, it's kind of where I dropped off. I didn't pay much attention again until the 9 and 10 and 11 era fairly recently.
Yeah.
Where I heard the story had a reboot, so I kind of got interested again, and did a little bit of that kind of for fun.
You say recent, but like looking back at I was just looking at the wiki and stuff too. Like Mortal Kombat 9 came out in 2011. That was 10 years ago. They've been on the new rebooted version of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I just think like the gap between 3 and 9 for some reason feels really large. But
3 came out in 95.
Yeah, and then it's the Ultimate, like the updated version. They added like an extra character and probably made it less fair for UMK3. But what about you, Will? What Mortal Kombat games have you played?
Similar experience. So like I didn't have them myself because my parents were like not super chill with the idea of those games in the house. So I saw them at like friends' houses or arcades, and I kept up with it. I could play here and there, but I never had them. But it was like all the cool kids were keeping up with it because it was like edgy and violent. No one had seen that kind of stuff before. So I kept up with it up through like 3 or 4. I remember seeing Annihilation in theaters. I'm sure it's aged like milk.
Oh god. I just watched some other podcasters that I followed. They just watched all the movies prepping for this new one, and I watched it too.
It looks so cheap, right?
Yeah, it's like somebody they made it for like $23.
Yep, and I definitely did a rewatch last week. Still fun.
Do you? If not Mortal Kombat, you guys like other fighting games? The Street Fighter, Super Smash Brothers.
I'm typically definitely Smash Brothers. I'm typically I'm actually probably the opposite of you, Brandon. I'm a little more on the Japanese fighter, so like Marvel's Capcom, Marvel Capcom 2,
and maybe less on. Maybe it's because the Mortal Kombat controls are more simple, but yeah, like Japanese fighters have never really clicked with me, and I've wanted so bad so many times to get into like Marvel versus Capcom because I love superheroes. But it doesn't work.
To me, the Mortal Kombat thing for me was you had to like memorize all these moves for everybody. But if you play Marvel or Street Fighter, you like quarter circle or half circle forward. Usually some combination of that is the same for every character. So it seemed easier to do all the special moves. Or I think in MK, I remember having to be like each character is really unique about the combination of inputs. So,
and it's still that way. I would say it's gotten easier to input and to do cool stuff. At least against the computer when you have a chance to breathe. But like Mortal Kombat 10 especially was really like rush down meta. So if you didn't get in the first hit, you just get thrashed. But yeah, like I played Mortal Kombat since I was a kid. Really, I wouldn't probably not every game that's come out. Like there are 11 mainline fighting games, and then there are more than 20 games with Mortal Kombat in the title. But yeah, so I definitely played UMK3 and then like probably Mortal Kombat 4 on PS1. Um, so like Mortal Kombat I had it on Game Gear. It was actually probably my first.
Mhm.
And when I say I had it, my older brother, he's 6 years ahead of me, and it's so he was already just 12 or 13, whatever. So we were playing the same games and watching the same movies, and there was no way that my parents could explain to me and my youngest brother that it wasn't okay for us to do the same thing that our cool older brother was doing. So we were doing all the same terrible shit that maybe he shouldn't have even been doing. But no, yeah. So I played Doom at a super young age, and we're several of the Mortal Kombat games, definitely MK2, UMK3, and then Deadly Alliance when it went into 3D on PS2 was pretty awesome. And then it got super ridiculous with Armageddon because they did like Super Smash Brothers Ultimate style, bring in every character that's ever existed ever. So it had like a 60 character roster. But that game was terrible.
Which game added the crypt where like you had to like get coins and unlock a bunch of stuff?
The crypt has been around I'm not certain, but I remember at least as early as Deadly Alliance. So it's been in
I think
every mainline
I do remember
game
spending a lot of time.
Yeah,
I remember spending a lot of time on whatever the I guess the first game that had the crypt because I thought it was awesome. So
I remember
that's
just
the last
like
one I like spent.
I remember, and it could have been earlier than that, but that's the first one I remember for sure. Like, and I definitely, as far as the crypt goes, I usually just have looked up how to unlock characters and just do what I have to do that. But like in the recent games, you don't even need the crypt to unlock characters. You just do it by beating the campaign, basically, which is a lot more nice. It's a lot less abusive of your time. Anyway, so we each watched all the movies lately, and the original movie definitely has some problems, but I love that movie so much. It's like it's definitely low budget and kind of it's a 90s B movie, but it's got some cool fights. It's got a lot of personality. All the there aren't a lot of characters in it, and they're all really unique. And like the special effects are garbage, but even though Goro looks terrible, he's like smart and like weirdly charming for like a big ridiculous dragon man.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the old movie?
Go Will. I think you're the most recent experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just watched it today.
Yeah, this morning actually. Painfully 90s.
It's very 90s.
Definitely. I mean, the music's still iconic.
It has like music from the video games, like the techno.
Well, yeah,
and they sample.
The games eventually adopted the theme from the movie. Like some of the little, if you listen, like some of the little sections are in there in like the early games, like but the movie like definitely improved on it, and then the game started using some of the melodies from the movie after the fact.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but they definitely sampled some from the games. So they could have like the test your might. It's part of the.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so still good. I mean, again, especially having seen it when I was a kid, the nostalgia still plays up. So that was pretty good. Definitely no complaints there. Yeah, I don't know, and honestly, in some of the characters are actually like better than in the new movie. We'll get there, I'm sure. But some of the characters, and not bad, right? But some of them I think got done a little dirty in the new movie.
I'd agree with that. Yeah,
a
lot of characters in the new movie are just cool special effects, and and to be fair, they're a lot better special effects than they were in the 90s movie.
Yeah.
Like, I was just trying to.
But yeah, the original movie had obviously I think a really cool Raiden, which was pretty awesome.
Even as a kid, it bothered me that he was white.
That's fair. It's Raiden white in the new movies. I think in the new game.
Yeah, he's a white guy in 10 and 11.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so it's funny that they got the 95 movie got criticized for it, and then they did it in the games, and then they switched it for this movie. So I want the new Raiden with the personality of the 95 one.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say that the new games have been more inclusive. Like this, Nightwolf,
Yeah, absolutely.
like Nightwolf was just a white dude in makeup for like
Yeah,
years,
no,
and
I
the
think
new
I did
Nightwolf
not know
in
that.
new Nightwolf in Mortal Kombat 11. He's a Native American, and
right.
looks fucking awesome.
And I'm pretty sure they've got a lot of praise for it for being a very inclusive fighting game in their roster, especially since 10.
And the voice cast is really diverse too. There's a lot of great talent.
Yeah. Yeah, on that the movie got, I think, pretty good. They did a pretty good job on that.
But how
I didn't have any problems with the cast.
They're all fine. There's
just a lot of them.
There are a lot, and there are like a lot of characters that aren't in the games. Like Johnny Cage's friend Art, who gets like smashed up by Goro. Like he's not from the games; he's just a guy who and he's everybody wanted to see him win, and he just gets bonked.
Yeah, they definitely, obviously we'll get to that too in the new movie, but obviously the 95 movie was very into the whole tournament thing. This is although the structure of that tournament has its own problems. Like there's no like round robin. There's no brackets.
There's no clear rules set up for this tournament.
Yeah,
it's
just like I think it's my time to fight today. I'm gonna show up to this beach. And
and then
there's
just another human guy I have to fight who might be from Earth. It's not clearly known.
Yeah, lots of humans for sure.
It was just weird that like Liu Kang's match was on the beach, and then Sonia's match was on the beach, and then Johnny Cage is in this like manicured forest on the mountaintop.
It's like a tree farm, yeah.
And that was
then they cut back from the farm to the beach like it was nothing, and we don't see Johnny Cage for like 15
that's
more
like
minutes.
A little island. Where's this forest at? It's like exactly the same.
Yeah, if they show the island from the water, it's like 3 mountains.
Yeah, it's very mountainous, and there's this giant flat forest. But yeah, again, still TCB movie. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So Will, tell me about Reptile. You had some choice words about Reptile 95.
It looks so plastic.
It's like
well,
I hadn't seen that movie in a while, but it looks like something out of Toy Story.
Yeah,
I think he tried to sell me
an N64 game.
I think he tried to sell me car insurance at some point.
I didn't understand like when they're fighting the lizard thing, and then they throw it to the ground, and it gets like absorbed into the mummy, and then it turns into like the video game Reptile that's like actually a ninja.
The ninja version, yeah.
I have no idea what the point of all that was.
I think
the music is dope. The music in that scene
wanted to have
amazing.
both.
Yeah, because even at that, so 95, so there would have been 2 or 3 Mortal Kombat games out already. So we have
3 had just come out.
Yeah, we have already seen Ninja Reptile and Lizard Reptile.
But
they probably just wanted both of them.
I think Lizard Reptile like 3 was like the green ninja with the reptile head.
Yeah,
I don't know if he was like full lizard yet.
Reptile looks like completely different in basically every game. Like there are a lot of the specifics of the costumes, like with Sub-Zero and Scorpion, like the face masks change and exactly how the ninja suits look. But it's always the same basic archetype of a dude in a blue ninja suit with a blue mask on. But no, like Reptile changes constantly. So
I think like all the ninjas did because they just all started out as palette swaps.
No, it was literally just like in the original games. It was actual. They filmed people in the poses, and then they just changed
they
pixelated the people, and then they just changed the colors of the costumes, because that's how that was cheap.
Yeah, and I'm obviously saved a ton in animation.
Oh yeah.
What do you call? What I guess we would call them now, like the wireframe and movement.
Right.
Rigging?
I don't. Video game development terms.
Yeah.
I think it's rigging.
Yeah.
Rigging, yes.
Let's. Mortal Kombat 2021. There's a new movie just came out on HBO Max. There are definitely a lot of things I like about it. Some weird, janky choices too, to be fair. But just start with some Carla or Will, you go first this time. Start with some like overarching like general thoughts on the movie before we get into detail.
Yeah, it was fun. All the characters that you like show up and do their thing. So if you like Scorpion's going to show up and do Scorpion things. Sub-Zero is going to do Sub-Zero things. Like the fights are fun and have their own flavor to them. I think there was too many characters because a lot of them exist for like one fight, and some of them don't even talk. It wasn't as violent as I was expecting, given the series' legacy.
Yeah.
Like
I'd agree with that.
I assume we're gonna get into spoilers. So spoilers.
Oh yeah, full spoilers.
There's like 3 villains who die in like gross ways. The one that really freaked me out was Natara, the Bat Lady. It's like she gets like sawed in half,
Yeah,
and it
one
was
of the
like
best.
the Kung Lao
it was
fatality.
it was so much more violent than anything that had happened up to that point in the movie. It just like caught me off guard because like everything else, like we saw like Reptile get like impaled, and it's like he was a CGI lizard man. This person looked like a person, just
right,
and just.
And you could,
It made me laugh though because whenever they did something like really violent,
like you can see anatomy and stuff.
Yeah,
like it's legit.
Oh yeah, I think the brain pops out.
Yeah.
Great.
But then like anytime after someone dies, they do like one of those cheesy video game movies lines like Kano, Liu Kang. Who's the hat guy? I forget his name.
Kung Lao is the hat guy.
Kung Lao. He saws Ntara in half, and then he
Flawless
like flips
victory.
his hat up and is like, yeah, he's like, or like when Kano kills Reptile, he's like, Kano wins, and it's just
No,
like,
that was great.
But you know,
To be
that's
fair,
just
like,
like
I
it was
think-
like because like Mortal Kombat's always been like really violent, but it's always been like really silly too.
Oh yeah,
and I think that's
it's
like a lot of the
video
criticism of
games
those early
know-
games.
The video games know what they are, and even like I would say that the stories are a lot more elaborate in the new games, and I would even say that
Like
at times I would even time they pluck on the emotional string once or twice, and it's actually effective. But like the stories are just so ridiculous now. Like it's and I love it's like the campaign for Mortal Kombat 11 is a ride, and it's like it's a game that I think everybody should play just because it's so over the top. And this movie is like that's what it wants to be. I think it benefits from being like really focused, but it's also probably a little too much.
I think for me, I like all the fights are great. So like the actual fight scenes are awesome. The story in between them is I think where it fails a little bit. I think it's a writing problem, right? I liked all the actors. I think all the characters did well, and I think that just the writings where it fails, right? But it's okay, right? You could fast forward to those or whatever. But the fights definitely, some of them are short, right? Like if you we'll get to it. I'm sure the Jax versus the other guy, it's like 30 seconds, and then ends up with his head blown off, which was also pretty gory. Will I guess it is later after.
I had forgotten about that one.
But
yeah,
but
it's after Nitara.
He's like just
yeah, it's like the Rikio head explosion,
basically.
But yeah, the story in between again. I don't know if we want to start getting into that now, but there's not actual tournament, after the whole thing, or maybe they're setting up for the next one. Yeah, but
there definitely some setup for a sequel here.
We'll get to that.
They probably. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Will.
I do appreciate how every fight in this movie looked like the fighters knew what they were doing. Because like when I rewatched the first one, you could tell that like the first fight Liu Kang has in the movie is like with this like shredded black dude with dreads, and like they're hitting each other with bows, and they're like ducking and dodging and weaving. You can tell that both of those dudes were actual martial artists. But then you go to like the Johnny Cage fights, and it's like cut, special effects, and it's like you can tell some of those people were not hired because they were actual martial artists. Whereas most of the fights in this movie, except for like the really effects heavy ones, they look like people who know how to fight.
Everybody was
or how to pretend
fighters, right? And there are. I'm not sure everyone was like
prior
trained. Oh yeah, like Ludi Lin, Louis Tan. Like there are definitely some fighters in the cast. They probably can afford much better choreographers and trainers this time around. For the people that aren't so good. And in fact, like they've all been really active on like Instagram this week, and they're showing off their stunt doubles and stuff, just giving those really talented people that don't get a lot of attention, putting them in the spotlight, which is very cool of them to do, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think like even the new guy that plays Cole, it's the new character for the movie.
Louis
I think
Tan.
he's trained. Yeah.
You knew who he was. Was that no?
It was me. He was a bad guy in, I think, the first season of Iron Fist, and he was on. It was like one of those premium channels, like Yeah, he played the drunken boxer guy in the, I think it was Iron Fist. It was one of those Defender shows.
Okay, I'll check it out. The
The
first
Marvel
season of Iron
Defenders.
Fist is pretty rough, though.
Yeah.
It's not great. I think he was in Iron Fist though, and I think that was the only fight I actually liked.
But
Anyway, he has a established background in like kung
Yeah.
fu
Right.
films and stuff.
Nice.
And I think his dad's a famous. It's like a family thing.
Yeah, but we actually don't even start the movie there, right? It's feudal Japan.
Oh, that was cool.
Yes,
scene
and
of the movie.
That was
the
really
intro
cool.
scene is fantastic, and it's
That kicked
yeah.
that was the best
Yeah.
scene in the movie to me.
That's the
and
thing, though, right?
if-
Right.
If I, as a kind of a Mortal Kombat, I wouldn't say a fanboy, but I enjoy it enough, and it's like, I've seen the same version of that in motion like 3 times, because they did it in the web series like 10 years ago, and then they did it and like about a year ago there was an animated Mortal Kombat movie, and they do the same thing.
Which
in
is
that
good,
one.
by the way.
But yeah, it's pretty okay.
Yeah,
and then
and I'm pretty sure they do it in the new Boom Comics. I think is the ones who own it now. I think they do the same. Family Frozen and nice.
And the reason I bring up those other ones is this is definitely the best version of it. It's I love that actor who plays Scorpion, Hiroyuki Sanada.
I know. He's
that was awesome.
Yeah, and he's
in Avengers. He's in Endgame.
Yeah, and he was in the Wolverine.
He's in a ton
other
of stuff.
Nerdy
Awesome.
type movies. And just the physics with the spear and stuff, or the kunai, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it makes me so happy when it happens.
Like Will said, at the end of that scene, I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be this movie is what I wanted it to be. I think it fails in the third act, as some other movies do a little bit. It's where it stumbles, but at the beginning, I was pumped. Right, great actors. Again, the fight scenes start strong, and then of course, the tragic end to the family, which
set a tone.
Well, I was gonna say on the not being as gory or as I think the director had touted that this was gonna be as R-rated as you could get without going into.
It didn't feel like it.
Yeah, so I was like, oh man, I thought.
I will say on that note that the budget is like $95 million, and that is very expensive for an R-rated movie. That's generally they want to keep them fairly low because you're limiting the number of people that can go see the movie.
But for a second I thought Sub-Zero was gonna kill this woman and kid on screen. I was like, wait, no, it's still Hollywood. Okay, no, we're not doing that. It's like, all right, we're still
probably don't want to see him murder this little girl. Joe Taslim though, the dude from the Raid, he's I loved Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero has always been my jam. He's my guy in basically all the games. And he's very intense. I was just like,
he's great.
Yeah, he was just was constantly impressed by just like how intimidating he was in every scene.
I saw a review. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Will go.
Well, I was gonna say my only note here was that I'm not sure how he speaks English in the feudal Japan. That seems awkward. But
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's like one sentence out of all the ones he says, but for some reason they decided to switch it to English, so that was kind of odd. And then of course we didn't get anything on the clan rivalry, right? Like it's hinted when he says at the end,
they name drop it, but that's all that we get. So you if you don't already
he
know,
says for the exactly. So I think that one was for the fans, right? But I think everybody who doesn't know, it's gonna leave a little wondering, like, oh, you can kind of assume there was a rivalry, but it would have been cool if we saw like Scorpion murdering all Bai Han's friends or the clan.
Right. I mean, and that's the thing. Like there's a clan rivalry, and the reason that Bi-Han shows up to murder his family is he already killed a lot of Bi-Han's minion guys.
But we're not even told or hinted any of that.
I feel like killing the wife and kid implies bad blood.
I know, yeah.
No, and that's fair, and I think it's mostly clan warriors
super personal.
What the people that Hanzo has killed are like clan ninjas. He didn't go to Bi-Han's house and murder his wife. And Bi-Han shows up and he's like, "You killed all of my minions, so I'm just gonna murder your wife."
What a dick.
What a dick.
Yeah. And then I guess we go to present day, right?
We skip ahead to the modern day, and we're introduced to Cole Young, a character who is.
We have an Outworld scene first, I think, where we see Shang Tsung for the first time.
Uh-huh.
And again, Outworld still looks rough, like in Annihilation. I think it's just hard to do on a movie, right? It's like this barren wasteland. To make it interesting seems not exactly the best.
The actor who plays Shang Tsung is Chin Han. He's from
Mulan,
he's from the Dark Knight.
Mulan.
Yeah. And it's funny when they were cast, because they announced, if not the same day, they're very close together, the casting for Scorpion and for Shang Tsung at the same time. And I was like, Hiroyuki Sanada is, number one, more talented, but he's also older and has like kind of a grizzled air about him. And I was like, they should have probably switched the roles, because Scorpion's not going to talk a whole lot.
After having seen the movie, though, I'm happy where we ended up.
Yes and no. I love Hiroyuki Sanada as Scorpion. That was a good choice. Shang Tsung in this didn't really work for me.
No.
And maybe it's because I'm like, I always just have the Teruyuki Tanabe version in my head. But it just doesn't. It's never going to top old Shang Tsung, because he's just he chews scenery with the best in all the best ways.
Yeah, and my only note in this one is it suffered from the Zack Snyder sepia tone a little bit, because like Sub-Zero looked because that's the first time we see Sub-Zero with the mask, right? And the new armor, and it was so gray. I was like, is this smoke? Like or Nuke Saibot already? Like it seems a little. But it was just
it's definitely very muted for sure. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah. So I was like, is this Sub-Zero or not? And then of course it was. But that was my only note here. I was like, well, little sepia going on here.
I like how in the next scene when we're seeing Cole, all of the scenes are just drowning in yellow light to let you know, hey, this is Scorpion's grandkid.
Yeah, he's related to that other guy you just saw who died.
Cole again, new to this movie. It took me a while to figure out, like, I was trying to go in my head. It's like, because I didn't know ahead of time that he was not in the video games.
Right.
So I was like, who is this guy turn out to be? Is he going to be Cyrax? Is he going to be, I don't know. So, or a new version of Scorpion? Like maybe like in this.
That's what I was assuming.
I'm thinking maybe he'll take like a young Scorpion persona in a later movie.
Maybe. I don't know what the deal. I mean, he was a little. What was it? I think he was supposed to be like the audience's eyes, right? What's going on, audience perspective. So, but he was okay. I mean, obviously they picked like, it's like what fighting have we not done in Mortal Kombat games? Oh, MMA. Sounds good. Let's make him an MMA fighter.
That's fair. There are, and I forget specifically who, but like there have been characters that have like a wrestling or like they call it like ring fighting style or something like that, and it's like. It doesn't really work in a video game, so they probably just leave it behind. But it works better for this, and in fact, when you see him later on, and he's getting pounded on like the big guy, like he's like protecting himself like a ring fighter, like an MMA guy does, and like he's curling up, he's covering his head, his midsection. It's a really I definitely appreciated that part of Cole. It's a unique flavor. Whereas a lot of the characters here, like they look like ninjas and they kind of fight like kung fu, karate, those sorts of more recognizable, or at least I wouldn't be able to tell you the difference between kung fu and karate. I know there are people who can, but like stand up, very fist and on your feet sort of fighting styles.
Yeah, it was fine. Again, I didn't. The family was an interesting take because, it's like, oh yeah, I'm the wife that doesn't want to see you fight, but then like the daughter's like, yeah, I'm gonna be in your corner, beat this guy up, what the hell, get back up, and then like the daughter's
give him the uppercut.
Yeah, give him the uppercut. It's like, oh, you're getting beat up. Oh, don't give up, get beat up some more, Dad.
I like
it was a little different. So I didn't hate it.
Okay.
I hadn't kept up with the story in a while, so I was just surprised to see Scorpion and his lineage being the good guys.
Right,
I hadn't kept up in the story since like whatever the last game on the 64 was, because like up until that point, Scorpion had mostly been like spooky zombie ninja jerk guy.
Yeah, now he's like he would be like Ghost Rider in Marvel, right? Like he's like this, spirit of vengeance type.
He kind of toes the line.
Burning Skullhead Chain Man.
Right.
I know. Yeah.
he has his own like motivations most of the time, and often that involves him fighting the bad guys. Sometimes he also fights the good guys, But he isn't really on anybody's side. He does his own thing, and it's occasionally aligns with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we have out of nowhere, Jax is the guy that's going to give us the lowdown on what's going on a little bit with this new tattoos or marks that.
How dope is Sub-Zero freezing the gun while the shot pellets come out of it?
Yeah. I think sadly that one was in the trailer, so I kind of.
A lot of the cool moments are in the trailer for sure.
Yeah,
they're always
but of course, then we get I don't know. I thought that was the biggest violent movie in this scene in the movie, which is the Sub-Zero ripping the arms off.
That was so gross.
And I do know that if you know the games, it's like I knew it as soon as the fight started. This is where this was gonna go, right? It's like I think it's halfway through the fight, I was like, oh, arms are coming off, arms are coming off, arms are coming off. It's like,
so I think that was in the trailer too, also, and then Jack somehow survives falling face first onto stone and rebar, and then falling again. I'm not sure exactly how that went down, but he gets rescued off screen to be taken to Raiden's temple, which is cool. What are you gonna say, Will?
Yep.
I thought it was funny because I saw the new one before I rewatched the original. So when Jack's got his arms ripped off, I was like, okay, cool. That's why he got the arms. And then in the first movie, he ends up fighting Goro, and Goro beats the shit out of him. So I was expecting Goro to and it didn't happen. It was like,
that's a different guy. Jax is in the first movie, but he's the guy at the very beginning when Sonya's in the club.
Yeah, he never gets on the boat.
And he's like,
that's stupid.
Yeah, and Jax he's the guy that says, Sonya, don't get on that boat.
Yep.
But
he's in Annihilation though, with I
remember that.
Yeah,
he's the main character in Annihilation.
Yeah, and then his arms are like rubber prosthetics on top. Pretty funny.
The movie's not good.
I'm gonna get some water. Carlos, go ahead and talk about the next scene.
All right. Well, I think the next scene is I think we see Melina for the first time, and we have that scene in Outworld where Shang Tsung is recruiting the people who are gonna go be assassins.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Melina. I think we get the mention of Reptile. I think, but not by name. They said something else.
Yeah, but it's like a walking lizard man who turns invisible, and I think Raiko's there as well.
Yep. And I think at this point,
Nitara?
Well, and then they show up. Well, all the sadly, it's like the B tier of Outlaw. It's like the B tier of Outworld bad guys that show up, right? It's Nitara. I guess Melina is the biggest one, but the Raiko is the guy with the hammer.
Yeah, Raiko's the guy with the hammer. I was surprised of, I guess, the way they used Melina in this, and I guess we'll get to why. But yeah, she's definitely the most related to the main conflicts of the video games.
Right. Yeah.
If for people who don't know, she is a clone of Kitana mixed with Tarkatan, which is the Baraka race, the pink guy with the big teeth and the arm blades.
Yeah. So we get that later.
Yeah, there's a whole race of those people, and then Kitana or Shao Kahn cloned Kitana and mixed her with the Tarkatan, and that's why she has the weird teeth. And they have a very sibling rivalry, very similar to Gamora and Nebula in the Marvel movies. It's always trying to one up each other and stuff. So I was really surprised, not that necessarily they used Melina, but that they killed Melina at the end of this one, because that's something that probably would have been really interesting to explore in a later movie, which we haven't
probably
seen in the But Melina is actually in Annihilation for 14 seconds, and Sonya mistakes her for Kitana, and she's like, "You wish," and then she just fucking dies. So I think that relationship is one of the more interesting in the whole franchise, and it's again not going to be in the movie.
Is that the mud fighting scene, or is that versus Jade? Can't remember now.
Yeah, the girl in the pink shows up in the mud fighting scene.
Okay, so that's I just couldn't remember if the. Oh yeah, because Jade is not evil until they go to Oddworld.
Right, and they
spoilers for Annihilation.
And I think she dies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, we get to the best part of the movie, which is Sonia and Kano come into the picture, saving this cast of characters for the better.
And I love
Kano really grew on me.
He did.
Kano
Like,
was
and it's
awesome.
not I wouldn't say everything he says hits exactly right, but I laughed more often than I groaned.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
I'll take this moment to say that I think what this movie lacks is a lot of personality. Like, most of the time it takes itself a little bit too
Very
seriously.
muted.
Yeah. And as we were just talking, like, with the original movie, has a lot of personality. Like, like the Johnny Cage is Johnny Cage is the real cocky guy who's trying to prove it, but he's like underneath he's trying to prove himself. And then like Shang Tsung is this he's this intimidating villain, but he loves to talk, and he's really he chews the scenery. And even Goro, who is a god awful special effect, is really smart. Like, and this movie, like, this Goro says literally nothing, and the only ones in this entire movie with any like interesting personality are Kano and Cabal, and everybody else is just like, wow, everything sucks, and just like, all right, we have to kill these people or the world's gonna end.
Come on, we haven't gone there, but not Liu Kang, but his cousin
Kung Lao.
Kung Lao has great personality in this.
Okay, yeah,
so I'm okay with that. Yeah, he's definitely my top 3 for this movie. But yeah, Kano's great. We get a bunch of one-liners. I think he actually shadows Cole a little bit. So I was invested in him more than Cole on
me too.
the point of view character.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, as soon as he learns about the mark, he's like, oh, I won mine. Like, am I gonna get superpower? Come on. It's like,
how does this work? Is it like what's it? It's like.
Obviously, he gets convinced to fly them to Raiden's temple somehow, with a bluff. That was pretty funny. Then he gets his mom or someone to fly him over in a plane. That was pretty awesome too. Again, just Kano's very enjoyable.
Weird editing choice here, where they show him like getting ready to jump out of a plane, and they're just like immediately on the ground.
Yeah.
Trying to save some money, not having to pay for skydiving.
Yes, that's correct. That's what I took from it, and that could be boring, right? For this movie, it's like, it's not about going down on a parachute, but
hey, the 1995 Power Rangers movie starts with the entire team skydiving for literally no reason other than we want to see them skydiving. They don't have to give that to us, but they did.
I've forgotten about that.
It is.
And I guess
very stupid.
I think we fight in the desert for a second. Sonia doesn't kill Kano.
Kano's like, if he's talking a big game. It's like, all right, if you think you can do it, do it. And then Sonia just like immediately kicks his ass. He's like, if I wanted to, I could, but I'm not going to do this. Like,
Yeah, I like Sonia actually in this one too. I think she's a pretty good character. Then we have Liu Kang, who I think might be one of the ones that got done a little dirty. I liked him in the original one a little more.
I really liked him in the original. Yeah, for sure. I agree.
Yeah. Obviously, here they were trying to not go with Liu Kang as the main character, so he's kind of like the more experienced guy that's going to teach him a thing or two. Still had some good stuff with Kano too, later, right, when he like fireballs him. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Go to Raiden's temple, and I think we catch up with Jax, right? It's like he's there.
They introduce Raiden, and they go over to Jax, and
the little baby arms.
Yeah, ice doesn't really cauterize wounds, but yeah, he's got like they used technology from another realm apparently, and gave him little like skeleton mechanical arm appendages.
That was pretty funny. Then we have some. Obviously, we get introduced to the other Warriors of Light, I guess, or Raiden's warriors a little bit of a training montage. We get the whole background now, the real background with like, I don't know if you saw on the murals on the wall, right there was actually Shao Kahn is depicted in one of them.
And there's a lot of art in around like when at Sonia's house at the beginning when she's telling Cole, like you can see Nightwolf there, you can actually see Kotal Khan, which is interesting. He's like he's the sun god of like the Aztecs or Mayans or something. And when Shao Kahn eventually dies, he comes in and takes over to be Emperor of Outworld.
It's pretty cool because he doesn't even show up till like 10.
Oh no, yeah, he was in MKX was his first appearance, and he's referenced in this movie in like via photos. So yeah, it's just kind of a cool, for people who will know what they see. I love it when they drop in like little Easter eggs.
So I think Liu Kang, obviously, his cousins, really good. So cocky and snarky, and obviously
He's
he's
got a
still
cool hat.
Yeah, sweet hat. Effects on that were pretty good. I think he was
Mhm.
was he in Annihilation? It
He
was
was
like a
in.
flashback.
He wasn't in Kung Lao wasn't in the older movies.
Okay,
Liu Kang introduces himself as the descendant of Kung Lao.
right. And in
Whereas
this
like
one,
this guy that's in the lore, there was a dead Kung Lao who died in an
Right.
earlier tournament, and this guy is a descendant of that Kung
right,
Lao.
right.
So they kind of
Right.
mix them together, really.
Yeah, so I thought it was a cool way to have Kung Lao in this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was happy with that. Relationship with Liu Kang was funny. I think at this point we get to one of my least favorite scenes, right? Where Shang Tsung pops in and he's like, "Let's go invade the temple and like go beat these guys up." And he gets stopped by Raiden at the door, who like puts up a weird force field thing
Yeah,
going
he's
on.
like, you're not coming in yet. Oh, wait, I got to put up some plot armor for a few minutes.
Yeah, then we learn later that he can like teleport whoever he wants everywhere, but he has to put the shield up. It's such a weird. I don't like Raiden in this movie.
I don't like rules for the sake of rules.
Yeah, it's like he could have
We
they
were
go
just
to this
making
void
fun of the
later. Why
tournament
didn't
for
they
having
train
no
there?
rules.
I know. Yeah. They could have gone train to the void or whatever. Why are we staying in this temple if you can teleport people everywhere?
That's a good point. They could have just gone to the void where Shang Tsung can't follow.
Yeah, just go. Why don't take him there now? It's like they can train there. Whatever. He just puts the shield up. It's pretty funny. I guess it's just to buy time.
You guys just see me spill my drink on myself?
Nope.
No, but
well, it happened. It's on video.
I'm sure the
It
viewers
did now.
Yeah. And of course, another great scene. Kano gets his powers first out of all the newcomers.
That's what Kung Lao like kind of pisses him off to so he tries to get a rise out of him, and he gets his powers.
Yeah, that was pretty
awesome.
I
think it's so funny that like originally he had the laser vision because he was a cyborg, and now he's got laser vision because he's a
so
drunk Aussie
speaking
redneck.
of that, I thought they were gonna get there because if they make the point of saying Reptile.
Yeah, they carve up his face.
Reptile carves up his face. So I was like, oh, he's gonna get the little plate eventually just to cover that up, but that never happens. But whatever, it worked because of the new Arcana thing. So I think that worked for me. Continues to be hilarious when they do the.
At least they didn't get a
laughing.
shit power like a frisbee hat.
Yes, but when they do the leg sweeps, that he keeps dropping Kano with the same move, and he keeps. I was dying laughing. That's so funny. Oh man, that was one of those scenes right where they reference the video games, and he
so
works.
Good.
Yeah.
And then he
even calls him out on it. He's right. He's like, "You're gonna keep doing that?"
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he tries to predict it, and he jumps, and then he gets him anyway.
Yep. And he does like the little hop too, like from the game. It was pretty great.
And I like the way Kano fights. I mean, and this is inspired by the game, obviously, but he's like a street thug. And he's he fights. He's got a big ass Bowie knife, and he's very like aggression oriented. But he's not a disciplined fighter like Liu Kang or Kung Lao. He's like I'm bigger than you, and I'm just gonna beat the shit out of you. Yeah, fair. That's fair.
Yeah, and I guess what's next? I think this is where Cole gets frustrated. Raiden sends him home to the farm, I guess, and then Shang Tsung decides to actually. Oh well, no, they trick Kano. That's right.
Yeah, Cabal says
Cabal.
I know this guy Kano, and he's we've got beef, so I'm pretty sure I can go piss him off, and we can get him to break the shield down.
I thought he bribed him.
Yeah. Maybe something like that.
Yeah, he offered him money, but it was really just riling him mostly. And then we get Goro, who in the first movie we get to see his shadow first, but no body. That's happened in the '95 movie, so I thought it was pretty good. And then he comes in and they have a huge fight in a farm, which seems unbecoming of Goro. We're gonna waste Goro on this.
I mean, that's what I was saying before. Like you can't defend the animatronic Goro from the '95 movie, but Goro he's from a very proud race, and he's a very smart and like battle savvy and like intimidating force. And in this one, he's basically a special effect. Like you could have had him fighting a tiger, and it would have been basically the same.
It was almost like a horror movie because like the kids get in a car and he's like grabbing the truck and like trying to get in there, and I was like, it was like very horror movie.
Very monster movie. Like, and I don't hate that vibe. You know, like the scene is fine. I just like I wish that we got more Goro because it's. You know, he's obviously a big, ridiculous character. He's a giant. He's 9 feet tall and he has 4 arms. But also, he's a, you know, like I keep saying it. Yeah, he's the prince of a very proud nation, and he's an interesting character if you get to spend some time with him. And we just didn't in this movie. But it's pretty great when he dies. Though, did you guys see his intestines spill out?
Yeah.
When he
Which, speaking of, we get to where Cole gets his powers.
Yep. He grows like Black Panther armor, where he can.
It's wicker. It's the wicker basket design from the baby that gets rescued by Raiden at the beginning of the movie.
I did not make that connection, but that's really
nice. It's the Japanese pattern. It's what shows up on the armor, and I read that somewhere elsewhere after the fact too. But then I looked at it again. I was like, oh yeah, it's like a wicker
the reason
basket.
I say the like Black Panther armor is that he can like absorb impact and reverse it. But he uses it like once, and we never hear about it again.
Yeah. But they never reference. He never says I absorb energy or whatever. It's just like a really tough armor.
Okay.
And of course the batons with the baton with the one of them is bladed is the difference. So
it bothered me that's how he got his power, because like the movie sort of sets up a precedent where like you get your power from like a moment of stress or whatever. Like Jax got his arms when he was trying to lift a heavy rock to save someone, and Kano got his powers when he was like really, really, really pissed off, and like Cole got his powers when his family was being attacked. And I'm just thinking like this dude is barely getting by as an MMA fighter. He's like literally getting the shit kicked out of him daily. How is he not accidentally just sprouted the armor in the middle of a fight when he was just like bleeding out of his face?
At least
I just thought it was kind of funny.
He proves that you have to kill somebody to get the mark, because he's been defeated like 50 times.
But he already had the mark though. Like you have to kill somebody to earn the mark, but he was born with it because he's descended from Scorpion.
Well, at some point in the movie, I thought that Sonia may like defeat Kano and not kill him to get the mark. You know, like you've bested me.
Oh, he did.
Oh, he did, which sucks again.
With a
no. So, like he got impaled.
Yes.
And isn't he a cyborg in the game?
Eventually, so maybe. Yes, they could do it.
And they impaled him in the eye.
Death is just another portal.
Yep.
That's what Shang Tsung says at the end.
Yeah.
This is a game with a literal hell. So
basically, if you die in Mortal Kombat, you go to the Nether Realm and you end up serving Quan Chi for the rest of eternity.
Like we see someone come back from the dead in this movie. That's literally Scorpion's thing. He literally rises from hell.
It's true. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what happens.
He says to the camera, "I have returned from hell for vengeance." Maybe Kano can come back. Sure.
Intercut with this Kano fight is we've already touched on Natara getting split in half. That's
so basically
here what happens is wasted character.
That was
but we skipped a little bit because here's where Raiden like does the thing with the void, and we have like what this movie passes as a tournament, right? It's Cole.
It's just a bunch of one-on-ones.
Out of like the 3 lines he has in the movie, he says, "Oh yeah, we need to like split him up and."
Well, this is after like because they lose this fight. Because they killed Natara, but then Kung Lao gets soul sucked. He kills Goro, and then Ko Young kills Goro and comes back, and then he stops Liu Kang from also getting killed. And then it's like, all right, well, this sucks because I guess we killed 2 of them, but we also lost one of our guys, so we're gonna go hide in the void. This is when they decide, all right, we're gonna split up and we're gonna go take all these guys one by one, except for the people that are gonna go do a tag team fight. Yeah,
but we have the other weird cut is we go immediately. Like editing or whatever, it's like we go fight 1, let's go. Like we're in the void doing this plan, bam, fight 1. Yeah. I think it's Jax first, which is like that 30-second one with Hammer guy.
Reiko. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
terrible.
Who I did not remember him from the games at all.
He's
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
he shows up in he's originally in Mortal Kombat 4, and then he's in Mortal Kombat Armageddon because that was the Everybody's Here game. But he was never that cool a character for sure.
Yeah, that's why I said the bad guys were kind of B tier for me. But
for sure.
But
they're saving most of the good ones for the next one.
Again, Jax had a cool fatality, blowing the guy's head off.
Collapse the dude's head.
And we have Melina,
pops like a
right?
zit. Yeah, Melina.
That was gross.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Sonya does her Sonic blade thing.
One shots her.
We see a hole through her gut.
And you see her spine still there.
Yeah.
But
for some reason,
somehow.
it's only a flesh-eating ring.
That's how physics work.
That looks painful.
I've said it already, but I hope that we get to explore Melina and Kitana later on, but I don't think it's going to happen. And then
I was curious.
Of course, Cabal gets eaten by the dragon.
Yeah, it's just burned up by the fire dragon.
Yeah, why didn't you do this move last fight? But sure.
That was so goofy.
If you remember in Mortal Kombat Annihilation, where Liu Kang actually turns into a giant dragon.
A very CG dragon. That was
for like 14 seconds.
Yeah, and Shao Kahn turns into like a Hydra or something.
Yeah, but it's got it screeches really high pitch. It's like a worm monster with a really high pitched sound. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's weird.
Of
course we have what I think is the main event, right? So Sub-Zero versus
Cole Young at first. Yeah, because he's Sub-Zero's like, by the way, I got your family. Then he retreats, and then Cole's like, fuck you, and chases him.
Yeah, it's like, I've had them in ice for 8 hours, but they're totally alive.
They'll be fine.
They'll be fine, I'm sure.
So then, he begins to get his ass kicked by Sub-Zero, and apparently his blood touching Scorpion's kunai, or at that point Hanzo Hazashi's kunai, will summon Scorpion from hell, and then he says the thing he's supposed to say, and then Sub-Zero and Scorpion throw down, and it's awesome. And I love, I love the way.
Get over here.
Just from a movie nerd point of view, I love the book ending here, where it's like it starts with Scorpion and Sub-Zero and it ends in the same way.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Again, I think Cole, he works as a POV character, but obviously he gets shadowed by a lot of the veterans.
Yeah, as soon as Scorpion comes back, he's the only one that we care about at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the point, right? And then obviously Cole doesn't help because he goes out and chips ice out of the family half the time. Yeah, he's they're chipping with his tonfa while Scorpion's doing all the work over there. So that's fine.
I really like this fight. I wish they hadn't shown us he cuts him and then he freezes a blade out of the blood spatter and stabs him with it.
That was cool.
It was. It's again another all the coolest shots in this movie are in the trailer, except for Natara getting sawed in half.
Which they probably couldn't show on TV.
That's probably true.
Red band only.
No, my boy Sub-Zero just getting mostly losing. I will say I like the ice effects, except everything feels very slow to me. And if you're fighting a dude like Scorpion, who's going to be really fast, it's just like, all right, if I have to take 10 seconds to freeze this ice wall, I'm just opening. I feel like I'm opening myself up to a lot of hate there.
Yeah, but I got what I wanted, right? I got my ice wall, I got the ice clone, I got the freezing. Obviously, also, by the way, he's probably the worst assassin in the world, right? Because it starts snowing anytime he's near. So it kind of telegraphs that he's around.
That reminds me of in the first movie when Cage is fighting against Scorpion and Scorpion gets away, and Cage is looking around, and then you see Scorpion side flip from behind a tree, loudly announce himself, and then do the chain thing.
Get over here.
This is a fight to the death, and you're a ninja.
Yeah.
You're your whole thing should be invisibility, basically.
Yeah, but
but that was the movie where he had the weird looking Beetlejuice mouth thing on the kunai that was coming out of his hand.
It's like a Langolier.
That was so cool. Oh,
was it though?
Yeah. Did any of the games have that? It was creepy looking.
No, that was only for the movie thing. Because in the games, it's a kunai. It's an actual it's a weapon.
It's so cool.
Yeah, and even in Annihilation, right? Because he shows back up. I don't think it's he has a double.
Yeah, and it's the lizard, still the lizard mouth things, but there's two of them.
Yeah.
But he only uses it to grab onto a rock, not to actually like grab anybody.
No. Hold on, my computer came unplugged.
No worries. I now have in my head like the cardboard mask that Scorpion wears in Annihilation compared to the really epic look of him in this movie. Like if nothing else, they really nailed the looks of the characters. I think most part.
Yeah, and I don't know. Honestly, I'm not as super familiar with the newer games. I actually thought the masks were very bulky, but I think they're on purpose. I think that they're actually kind of that almost armor over just.
If you look at like the web series from like 2011 or whatever, Scorpion's face mask, like it has like a goblin face in it, like, and he's dressed more like a samurai almost than a ninja, like, or at least he's not bulky like a samurai, but he's more armored.
They were definitely bulky because Sub-Zero takes it off in that final fight. The shoulder pads and stuff off, and he looks a lot more like old Sub-Zero after that. But yeah, obviously good guys kind of win. The Sub-Zero gets killed.
Yep. Shang Tsung is like, you killed my people, but I got more people, and they're going to come after you for the next movie.
Yeah, again, and correct me if I'm wrong. I think they show Goro and Sub-Zero disappearing. The corpses get shadowed out, like the shadow smoke.
Dude, I don't remember it happening to Goro. It definitely does to Sub-Zero. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure Goro.
The smoke effect that surrounds Shang Tsung when he arrives, like it definitely swallowed Sub-Zero. Like, and that's a spoiler alert. He becomes Noob Saibot. After
in the story he becomes Noob Saibot. Yeah. And then
which is actually would actually be very cool to see in a movie. Because like Noob has
we've never seen him.
And he fights by creating temporary clones of himself, like in a weird. It's just very cool.
Yeah, and we get Smoke in Annihilation, I think, and Ermac, the red ninja.
We do, but we don't. Like Ermac has become very cool much later than that.
And Rain gets like insta killed by
Shao Kahn just knocks him into the hole. Yeah. Rain, he says this will never happen again like 3 times, and then he hits him with a hammer and he falls in the fire.
That's right. So we could get those other ninjas later. But yeah, that's.
I mean, there are a lot of characters in Mortal Kombat, and with the new games they've introduced.
Oh yeah, there are.
The new generation of Cassie Cage is Sonia and Johnny Cage's daughter, and Jackie Briggs is Jax's daughter, and they're both playable characters. In Mortal Kombat X is Takeda Takahashi, who is Kenshi's son, who is Kenshi wasn't in this movie, but he's probably my second favorite Mortal Kombat character after Sub-Zero, and he's a blind swordsman guy, and he fights with a sword and uses like telekinesis. And that's pretty tight. And his, he I think was probably Deadly Alliance, probably his first game.
Yeah, I mean, we could get the second Sub-Zero, because he becomes a good guy.
Yeah, or it's Bihan's younger brother is a good guy, and then
the one with
he had the red scar.
Yeah, the red scar on his eye, and then Bihan becomes Noob. And there are other Shokan, like there's Shiva, who was in the old movies, and now she's
Motaro.
Motaro's a centaur, but he's
right. But there's another one that has like tiger stripes.
Yeah, Kintaro. Yeah, that's the
Kintaro.
Kintaro. I think. Yeah. That was a great face. So they're at least they established that these people aren't unique. They are members of species, basically. Like Baraka is he's a Tarkatan, and then there's like a whole race of people who look like him and stuff. And these are all basically they exist in realms that Outworld has taken over
already.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that's it, right? That's the end of the movie. We get to that's the epilogue, right? It's just setting up. Shang Tsung escapes. Raiden kind of just doesn't do much either. He just kind of gives us the end of it. Cole reunites with the family. They're technically alive
somehow not frozen to death forever.
Right. Once again, Hollywood plot armor for wives and children.
Not the first wife and child.
But they got killed off screen, though. They
Still
get frozen.
frozen.
He summons an ice spike, and then you cut away to a scream.
Yeah.
So do you?
But
What do you guys think? I really like this movie. You know, it's no
Yeah.
masterpiece, but it's a lot of fun, and it's
Yeah.
it's got a lot of laughs, mostly violent ones.
Yeah.
You know, it's
again,
it's probably about as good as a Mortal Kombat movie could be. To be honest.
yeah. I mean, like I said, my top three for me, Kano for sure. Probably Kun Lao was up there on my favorite characters.
It was cool.
I didn't hate Cole. You know, again, I think the actor did a great job.
He's just not that interesting.
Right. I mean, for a new character, right? They introduced this new character. Maybe I was expecting a little more from it. There's rumors he may come to MK11 in the next DLC set.
Do you think there's going to be more
see
DLC? Because
I think they said there's one. They said there's one more. I think they said. I guess the quote is we're not done with MK11. So
okay, yeah,
whatever that
they've
means.
now released 3 waves of DLC fighters and a campaign expansion. And it's like I could totally see Cole in MK12, but like I figured that they were.
Sure.
It's MK11's 2 years old now, so I just figured they were.
I know,
done
but
with
they
it.
definitely.
It's really popular in the tournament scene, so I guess they want to keep it
right,
going.
and they acknowledged the movies, right? Because they had a skin pack for the classic.
Yeah,
the
sure.
95 movie. Yeah. So I think Kano, Kung Lao, and
well, they acknowledge the movies in like literally recasting the same. Like the voice of Johnny Cage is Lyndon Ashby from the first movie, and
right.
It doesn't. It's not face modeled, but the voice is the same. And like Shang Tsung is Kari Hiroyuki Tanaga. I apologize for forgetting how to pronounce her name, but no, like he's literally the voice and face of Shang Tsung.
And meanwhile, in this movie, Shang Tsung did like nothing, right? He moved some people around, pseudo recruited somebody. He soul sucked one guy, but we never see him shapeshift, right? Which is his thing, right? You know, he just soul sucks Kung Lao. That's about it.
I mean, and Shang Tsung is a champion of Mortal Kombat. Like he's a competent martial artist, and that's really like in the original movie. That's really like the only time we see like straight up martial arts prowess, like at least it might be like there are some other where you can, like Will said, there are definitely people who are trained martial artists, but like at the beginning of the Shang Tsung and Liu Kang fight, where they begin with they roll up the theme song, and then there's only about 30 seconds of like epic like just stand up martial arts, and it's amazing. And then they move on to him summoning all the dead warriors. But no, it's just like I love that the Mortal Kombat, the developers know that people love, that people have grown up with this and that they love the old movie, and they're just it's as much about nostalgia as it is about the new, which is.
I feel like I don't know if this movie has a lot going for it if you aren't a fan of the series relative to like other martial arts movies.
That is fair.
So,
because this is not a good movie.
Yes.
Like this is not. This
like if you weren't already invested in the story of these punch wizards, this isn't going to be the thing that changes your mind.
I think if you didn't call the movie, and I had this conversation with a friend, is if you didn't call this Mortal Kombat, it was some kind of, because again there's no tournament, right? So if it was like this revenge story type thing for like Scorpion and Sub-Zero, it would. I think if you're not invested in the series, you wouldn't have known that it was from a video game, basically. Kind of. I mean, I guess it's kind of cheesy and campy in some ways, but
feels kind of like a video game.
Yeah, but I think it's like you remember the old Spirits Within, Final Fantasy Spirits Within movie?
Yeah.
Never saw that. Heard it was not great.
So I think
funny story. I watched it without ever prior having played a Final Fantasy movie or Final Fantasy game.
So that's the thing. I think that movie's not terrible if you take Final Fantasy out of the title. It's a sci-fi movie that does its thing, and if you had no knowledge on the character, because the characters are just the names, right? It's just like every other. Right. Every game has a Cid. Every game has a Chocobo or whatever. It's like, but it. If you took Final Fantasy out of the title, you still had a sci-fi movie. Here, I think if you took Mortal Kombat out of the title, you still would have an action movie. If you were not invested, but obviously you get way more if you are.
That's true. And there are a lot of Easter eggs, and like they name drop a lot of things that people who are fans of the games will recognize, even if they don't expound on that at all.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, again, it's it's good. I don't want to say it's better than the '95 movie, right? They're very different times and I think the type of movie is trying to be something very different. So
I agree with that.
I think each one stands for again, especially in '95, right? Like when I was like 12, 13, that was like the best movie adaptation I've ever
Well,
seen. Game adaptation I'd ever seen.
It probably was.
Yeah.
I rented the Mortal Kombat movie probably like 6 times on VHS. Like that was one that for some reason we never bought. And like my brother saw it in the theater and loved it, and then he rented it one time and brought it home. But it's like after having rented it so many times, we could have just easily bought the tape. But probably 6 or 7 times we brought it home from Blockbuster, just because I love that movie so much. And then I have it on DVD, but I got that much later.
Yeah, I think the one thing that was missing from this movie for me was like a pump up song like the original '95. It didn't have to be that one, right? It would have been pretty cool. The only good movie. The last Sub-Zero fight.
Yeah, there's
Cole.
They do just the very beginning of it, right at the start of that fight, like dun 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 dun.
Yeah. It's like it's gonna cut into that song, but then it stops. Like it goes back to the song that was playing.
Was weird.
And they have an orchestral, not the techno, but an orchestral version of parts of the theme in the credits. But not really in the movie itself. Right, but even if it was a new song, right? I felt the Sub-Zero, that final Sub-Zero Cole Scorpion fight had a pretty good score. Again, it just got me pumping a little more. The other ones were kind of blah. There was not that getting me into the fight type song.
I just thought it was weird, just because like the series is so known for the music that just not having it be a major part just felt weird.
That's fair. Like I'll give you that.
So much of this was about Mortal Kombat looking and acting like Mortal Kombat. Like the characters show up, they look like the characters, they do their things.
And like I said, like that $90 million is fairly hefty for a rated R movie even these days. But like a lot of the things in this movie are not cheap. Like animating Goro was probably like $2 million out of $90 million, and he's in the movie for 3 minutes. Like you know what I mean? Well, so it's
the casting was probably not expensive, right? These are not super well.
Oh yeah, they're not. There are definitely some people who've been in things I've seen, like. I didn't recognize Louis Tam, but apparently he's in some stuff I've watched. Like Ludi Lin was in the recent Power Rangers reboot movie. Sarah McNamee has been in like rom-coms here or there. Chin Han was in The Dark Knight.
I got what I wanted out of the movie. Had a good 2 hours of my time.
Oh yeah, it was.
Especially in this day and age, if you already have HBO Max or whatever, like why would you not see this movie?
This is probably one that I think will be more successful because it's on HBO Max. Some of these I don't think that's true.
Sure.
I do like how much money that Godzilla vs. Kong is making.
Yeah. So that
makes me happy.
I guess a different conversation, but both Godzilla and Kong and this one, I would have not felt cheated if I went to see it at a theater for $15. I would have been fine with that.
That's fair. No,
I knew what I was getting. Yeah.
Like knowing what I'm walking into. Like I go see this movie not because I expect it to be good, just because I'm a fan of the video game and I want to see the video game on the big screen. Like
and this one, obviously, '95 had the problem of being PG-13, right? So this time we got all the gore and the.
This one was PG-13 until Natara got shot in half.
No, the Jack's arms and the.
There's a lot of profanity.
The head popping.
Yeah.
There was. Yeah, they could do the profanity. So that's all well and good. So that's all great.
Anyway, thanks for hanging out, guys. We haven't crashed yet, so that's a good sign.
Always good.
Yay.
So just quick, what do you one more thing, what games have you been playing these days?
I can take. So I've been doing. So I was one of the few. I got a PS5 at launch. So
nice.
I've done what I could, and it was one of those just check the site a few times a day.
I had an Xbox Series X pre-ordered, and then I tried to do something silly and save a bunch of money, and then I had to cancel my pre-order because I didn't want to have to buy it twice. It's a whole thing. I can tell you offline. But I almost had a next-gen console, and now I have a bunch of gift cards in my account just waiting until it's on available to buy.
Yeah. So I got some of the usual, right? The Miles Morales, Spider-Man.
How you
Got
like that one?
It was great. Yeah, it's great. I was
I
very
love the first game.
surprised by, of course, yeah. Immortals: Phoenix Rising. I was very pleasantly surprised with that one.
I have played 90 hours of Immortals: Phoenix Rising. I love it so much.
Yeah, and if you haven't played the Eastern expansion, the DLC is very good.
I have the season pass. I keep trying to play the first expansion, the Lost Gods or whatever.
Skip it.
And it's just like it's like this is just more
no.
of the game I've already played, and I feel like it's more frustrating. So it's like
go straight to the Eastern. And
okay, I'll check out the Eastern Gods.
Yeah, if you ever played Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it has the same problem. Like the first DLC is like going as a god up to Olympus or whatever. And then it wasn't as fun. But Eastern Gods
it's just a lot of the same things, but it's like the more frustrating version. Like you have to be. It's just really time constrained, and it's not as fun.
Yep. Yeah, but anyway, that's basically it. Not much else on PC, and then tabletop, of course, still kind of closed everywhere. But
what you been playing, Will?
Soon.
I got Hollow Knight last week, and it has been consuming me. I'm enjoying it so much. I regret waiting this long. It is exactly my kind of shit.
I'm disappointed to have to say, Hollow Knight always seemed like my kind, like exactly like the kind of game. Like I love side scrollers. I love action games. It's just things that I'm not super big on explorable games, but that's if it comes with fun gameplay, I'm into it. Like with Immortals: Phoenix Rising. Like I was really, it came to Game Pass a few months back, so I was like, all right, I'm finally gonna try out Hollow Knight. And then I played it for like 3 hours, and I can't find a reason to care. I'm just like, it doesn't work for me, and I'm so upset because like everything everyone has ever told me just made it sound like exactly what I love about video games, and it just doesn't. It's not working.
What I tell people, and I say this to people on TV shows too, right? If we have so much good stuff out for TV, for video games, if it doesn't catch with you, that's fine. There's gonna be something else that it's worth the time, and it's okay to not like things. There's no problem with that.
I just like I hate to have to say it because it sounds like it's so up my alley, and tell me what you like about Hollow Knight. I want to hear.
I like Metroidvanias. It's got I find the gameplay loops kind of satisfying, where like you're thrown into this world, you're not really given a direction,
right?
And it's it's sort of Breath of the Wild like that way. It's sort of like if it's something's too hard, you can come back later. You can find some other way around. I like how from the get go, it's you kind of have to have a sense of direction because the game doesn't make the map easy.
Right.
So you have to like get around to. You have to learn how to explore. You have to like understand how the world works. So like, here's secrets, or hey, I need to be spending the money I'm making because I don't have access to the bank yet. So if I die, I lose all my money. And I like how the game like starts out with some like shops right there. So like if you are an insane person and decide to grind for hours and hours and hours and hours, you can buy some pretty groovy stuff before you do anything in the game. And I just like the creative freedom of that. I would not recommend doing that if you're about to get into Hollow Knight because you don't get to like. There's this one enemy I found in the game that like drops a whole bunch of money when you beat it, and it's right next to a train station, so you can jump on the train, go to the next area, come back, respawn, and just do that. And that's not for like a couple hours into the game. So until that, you're beating up like Goombas and Koopa Troopas for like 1 or 2 points, and it's like it is not going to be an effective use of your time. I would not recommend grinding first thing, but like the game gives you lots of options. If you know what you're doing, you can sequence break, but it's like not obvious. So like it's just a well-made Metroidvania, and I dig it.
Have you played the Ori games, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, or Ori and the Blind Forest?
I have not.
I actually got it. I hadn't, and I think it also came to something as a free game
it's on Game Pass if you have Game Pass.
Yeah, something like that. And I finally tried it, and I guess I was more in the Brandon camp where I gave it about 3 hours and it didn't.
See, it really worked for me. I love the art, I love the music, and like the gameplay is simple, but it's really fun. Anyway.
Yeah. Right. One last Mortal Kombat thing I forgot.
Oh yeah, please go.
Do you want to see a sequel?
Oh hell yeah! I want to see the tournament.
Sure. Same.
I do. Yeah, I
yeah,
think the same. I hope it is the setup.
I really liked the vibe of this movie. You know, I've said it a couple of times now. I think it took itself a little too seriously. I want to see some more personality. But you know, we're going to get Johnny Cage, and like if you're unfamiliar with the recent games, Johnny Cage is like the biggest over the top asshole. Like he's just like he's a good guy at heart, but he's just really cocky, and he's like, you know, he puts on a show. He's all about grandstanding. Like one of his fatalities is he stabs you with his Oscar.
That's freaking funny.
It is. No, yeah. So it's
I do hope so. Yeah,
I'm hoping to see what like Johnny Cage is going to be like in this universe for sure.
Yeah, and I think they were that was I think the main reason to go with Cole instead of Johnny Cage. You know, as the last member of the Earth team, it's they want to set him up for the sequel. Obviously, the tournament, and then we also had the bad guys be like the B roster, right?
Right.
So I think maybe we get Sindel, maybe we get
we'll see
Katana, obviously.
Yeah,
obviously. With her fans more than once ever for 2 minutes in Annihilation, I think.
And it's like she's so clumsy with him. Like it's not an effective weapon.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So thanks guys. Thanks for hanging out. I think we'll call that a video. Thanks everybody for watching Agent 25. If you're still with us, I guess we've fulfilled our purpose. We in general like the movie, and hope you do too. Have a good night, guys.